Maria adjusted her wig in the rearview mirror, then quickly wiped the lipstick off her teeth. She was parked 3 blocks from the church, still wearing the red dress from last night. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. She should have been home an hour ago. She should have been in the kitchen making breakfast for her husband. Instead, she was trying to piece herself back together in a dirty parking lot behind a closed gas station. The clock on the dash said 6:47 a.m. Morning service started at 9. She pulled the wig off and tossed it in the back seat. Her real hair was flat, sweaty. She looked at herself in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. That woman had been laughing in a VIP section last night, drinking champagne from a bottle that cost more than her family's weekly offering. That woman had been dancing with a man who wasn't her husband. That woman had to be gone before the sun came up. Maria started the car and pulled out of the lot. Her hands were shaking on the wheel. Deacon Samuel Carter had been married to Maria for 14 years. He was 47 years old, with graying temples and a voice that could calm a crying baby or silence a room full of arguing deacons. He ran a small construction company during the week and ran the church's building fund committee on Sundays. People called him a good man, a solid man, a man of God. Maria used to believe that. She used to look at him during service and feel grateful, lucky even. But somewhere around year 10, something shifted. Samuel stopped seeing her, not in a mean way. He wasn't cruel. He just forgot. He forgot to ask about her day. He forgot their anniversary twice in a row. He forgot that she was a person with feelings and not just a piece of furniture that cooked his meals and kept his house. When she tried to talk to him about it, he'd pat her hand and say, "Baby, I'm tired. We'll talk tomorrow." But tomorrow never came, so Maria started filling her time, first with lunch with friends, then with shopping, then with longer lunches, then with later nights. And then she met Derek. Derek was 34, single, owned a car dealership, and had a smile that made Maria feel like she was the only woman in the world. He'd come to the church looking to donate a van to the youth ministry. Samuel was too busy to meet with him, so he sent Maria to handle it. That first meeting lasted 2 hours. They talked about the van for maybe 15 minutes. The rest of the time, Derek asked her questions, real questions. What music did she like? What did she dream about as a little girl? Did she still have those dreams? By the time he left, Maria had his number in her phone. For the van, he'd said. In case we need to follow up. She knew better. She knew it the moment she saved the contact. 3 months later, she was sneaking into her own house at 2 a.m., smelling like expensive cologne and regret. The morning, everything fell apart started like any other Sunday. Maria walked into the church at 8:30, wearing a modest navy blue dress with a high neckline. She had her Bible in one hand and a casserole dish in the other. To everyone who saw her, she was First Lady Carter, the pastor's wife, the woman who organized the women's fellowship and visited the sick and never missed a prayer meeting. Sister Bernice met her at the door. Bernice was 72, been in the church since before Maria was born and missed absolutely nothing. "Morning, First Lady," Bernice said, her eyes scanning Maria's face like she was reading a newspaper. "You look tired." "Couldn't sleep," Maria said, which was technically true. She'd only gotten 3 hours. Ememhum. Bernice took the casserole from her. "I'll put this in the kitchen. You go on and get ready." Maria nodded and headed toward the small office she shared with Samuel. She passed the sanctuary, already filling up with early arrivals. She passed the choir room, where she could hear them warming up. She passed the nursery, where bobbies were crying and volunteers were rushing around with bottles. And then she stopped. Because standing in the hallway, leaning against the wall like he owned the place, was Derek. He was wearing a suit, a nice one. He had a Bible in his hand and a smile on his face that made Maria's blood run cold. "First Lady Carter," he said, loud enough for anyone passing by to hear. "Good to see you again." Maria couldn't move. Her feet were glued to the floor. Her brain was screaming, but her mouth wouldn't open. Derek pushed off the wall and walked toward her. He stopped close enough that she could smell his cologne. The same cologne she'd smelled last night with her face pressed against his chest. "I thought I'd come check out the service," he said, his voice low. "See what I've been missing." "What are you doing here?" Maria whispered. "Same thing as everyone else, worshipping." He smiled again. It didn't reach his eyes. "Don't worry, I'll behave." He walked past her into the sanctuary, leaving Maria standing in the hallway with her heart trying to beat its way out of her chest. The service was a blur. Maria sat in the front row like she always did, but she didn't hear a word Samuel said. She could feel Derek's eyes on the back of her head. Every time she turned around, he was watching her. Not staring, just watching. Like a cat watches a mouse it hasn't decided to kill yet. During the altar call, when people were streaming forward for prayer, Maria slipped out the side door. She needed air. She needed to think. She made it to the hallway before she heard footsteps behind her. Running away, she closed her eyes, took a breath, turned around. Derek was there, hands in his pockets, looking casual and dangerous. "You need to leave," Maria said. "This is my church. My family is here." "I know." He stepped closer. "I've been watching you here for months. Did you know that?" "It came a few times before we met. Watched you play the perfect wife, the holy woman." He laughed softly. "You're good at it. What do you want?" "I want to know if last night meant anything to you." Maria stared at him. "Last night was last night. It's over. It has to be over." "That's not what you said at 2 a.m. "Get out of here, Derek, please." He studied her for a long moment, then he nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll go, but Maria," he leaned in close. "I have pictures from last night, good ones." "You look happy in them." Maria's heart stopped. "Just something to think about," he said. And then he walked away, leaving her alone in the hallway, trying not to throw up. She made it through the rest of the service. She don't know how, but she did. She shook hands at the door. She smiled at the children. She hugged the elderly women and promised to visit Sister Thomas, who was in the hospital, and all the while she was dying inside. That night, after Samuel had fallen asleep in his recliner watching sports highlights, Maria sat at the kitchen table with her phone in her hand. She scrolled through the messages from Derek. There were dozens. She hadn't responded to any of them today. The last one, sent 10 minutes ago, just had a picture attached. She opened it. It was her, in the red dress. At the club, Derek's arm around her waist, both of them laughing. You could see her face clearly. You could see everything clearly. The message below it said, "See you Wednesday." Maria put the phone down and put her head in her hands. She thought about calling Samuel, waking him up, telling him everything, begging for forgiveness, but she knew what would happen. He'd be hurt. He'd be angry. And then he'd forgive her because that's what good Christian men do. But he'd never look at her the same. He'd never trust her again. Their marriage would become a museum of the thing it used to be, preserved but dead. She couldn't do that to him. She couldn't do that to herself, so she did the only thing she could think of. She texted Derek back, "Wednesday, my place. 2 p.m. Samuel will be at work." Wednesday came faster than Maria was ready for. She spent the morning cleaning the house obsessively, like she could scrub away her guilt with bleach and pine sol. She made the bed she'd been sharing with Samuel for 14 years. She put fresh flowers on the kitchen table. She changed clothes 3 times before settling on jeans and a simple blouse, as if dressing casual would make this less of what it was. At 1:45, she started watching the driveway. At 2:03, Derek's black SUV pulled in. He walked in like he owned the place, looked around at the photos on the walls, the cross hanging over the doorway, the Bible on the coffee table. "Cozy," he said. "Do that." "What?" "Make fun of my home." He turned to look at her. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, something almost human. "I'm not making fun of it, Maria. I'm looking at it, trying to understand how you fit into it." Maria crossed her arms. "What do you want from me, Derek, really?" He walked toward her slowly. Stopped close enough that she could feel the heat coming off his body. "I want you to stop pretending with him, with this whole life. I want you to be real. This is my life. This is who I am." He shook his head. "This is who you pretend to be. The real you is the one I met. The one who laughs loud and drinks champagne and dances until her feet hurt. The one who doesn't care what anyone thinks. That woman doesn't exist anymore." Existed Saturday night. He reached out and touched her face. Maria flinched but didn't pull away. "She exists right now. I can see her." Maria closed her eyes. She knew she should stop this. She knew she should push him away, call Samuel, confess everything, and deal with the consequences like an adult. But his hand felt good on her face. His attention felt good. After years of being invisible, someone was seeing her. She opened her eyes. "You can't stay long. He comes home at 5. Derek smiled. "That's 3 hours, plenty of time." He kissed her. And Maria kissed him back. For the next 6 weeks, Maria lived 2 lives. By day, she was First Lady Carter, organizing the women's conference, visiting the sick, leading Bible study. She sat beside Samuel every Sunday, holding his hand, smiling at the congregation. By night, she was Derek's woman. They met at his apartment, at hotels, once in the back of his SUV parked behind an abandoned warehouse. She wore clothes she'd never wear in her real life. She did things she'd never imagined doing. She felt alive in a way she hadn't felt in years, and every time she left him, she promised herself it would be the last time. And every time she went back, Samuel never suspected. Why would he? His wife was perfect. His marriage was solid. His life was blessed. That's what made the fall so hard. It was a Tuesday night. Samuel had a deacon's meeting at church. Maria told him she wasn't feeling well and was going to bed early. Instead, she was at Derek's apartment. They were lying in his bed, the sheets tangled around them when Derek said something that changed everything. "I talked to your husband today." Maria sat up so fast her head spun. "What?" Derek was calm, too calm. "I went by his office, the construction company, told him I wanted to hire him for a project." "You did what?" He seemed like a good guy, nice, trusting. Derek looked at her. "He talked about you, showed me pictures on his phone. Said you were the best thing that ever happened to him." Maria felt sick. "Why would you do that?" "I wanted to see him. The man you go home to every night, the man you lie to." Derek sat up, facing her. "I wanted to understand what keeps you there." "You had no right." "I have every right." His voice was hard now. "I'm the one you come to when you need to feel something. I'm the one who makes you feel alive. But at the end of the night, you always go back to him, and I'm tired of it." Maria grabbed her clothes, hands shaking. This was never supposed to be more than. "Then what? Fun?" Derek laughed. "It stopped being fun for me a long time ago, Maria. I'm in love with you." The words hit her like a physical blow. She stopped, halfway into her dress, and stared at him. "You don't mean that." "I mean every word." He stood up, came toward her. "Leave him, be with me, really be with me." "I can't." "Because of the church, because of what people would say." He was close now, his face inches from hers. "Those people don't know you, they don't love you, they love the idea of you, the perfect pastor's wife, but I love you, the real you." Maria's eyes filled with tears. For one crazy moment, she actually considered it. Leaving Samuel, walking away from everything, starting over with Derek, and then her phone rang. She looked at the screen. "Samuel," she answered, her voice shaking. "Hey, baby." "Hey." Samuel's voice was normal, tired but normal. "Meeting ran late." "I'm on my way home. You still not feeling good?" "Yes, I'm in bed." "Okay, I'll be quiet when I come in. Love you." "You too." She hung up, looked at Derek, saw the anger in his eyes. "Go," he said. "Go back to your perfect life." "But Maria," he picked up his phone. "I'm not done. You understand me. We're not done." Maria didn't answer. She just grabbed her purse and ran. The next few weeks were a nightmare. Derek didn't leave her alone. Text after text, call after call. He showed up at places she went, not approaching, just watching. Letting her know he was there, Maria was falling apart. She stopped eating, stopped sleeping. Samuel asked if she was okay. She said she was fine. He believed her. The breaking point came on a Sunday. Maria was in the bathroom off the sanctuary, trying to compose herself before service. She'd gotten another text from Derek that morning. A picture of them together. The message, "Show this to your husband. See what he thinks." She was staring at her reflection, wondering how her life had come to this when the bathroom door opened. Sister Ruth walked in. Ruth was 68, a widow, the kindest woman in the church. She'd been like a mother to Maria since she married Samuel, but she wasn't smiling now. "Maria." "No, First Lady." "No, baby, just Maria. We need to talk." Maria's blood ran cold. "What about?" Ruth pulled out her phone, unlocked it, turned it toward Maria. On the screen was a picture. Maria and Derek. At a restaurant, holding hands across the table. "Someone sent this to the church email last night," Ruth said quietly. "Sent it to every deacon, every elder, every ministry leader." Maria couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't do anything but stare at the picture. "So sorry, baby." Ruth's eyes were wet. "But Samuel's seen it. He's out there now, waiting for you. You need to go talk to him." Maria walked out of the bathroom on legs that didn't feel like her own. The hallway was empty. The sanctuary doors were closed. She could hear the choir warming up inside, singing about amazing grace. Samuel stood at the end of the hallway, alone. His face was gray. Maria walked toward him. Each step felt like a mile. When she got close enough to see his eyes, she stopped. She'd expected anger. She'd expected tears. She'd expected shouting. She didn't expect the emptiness. The way he looked at her like she was a stranger, like the woman he'd loved for 14 years had died and someone else was wearing her face. "Is it true?" His voice was flat. Dead, Maria wanted to lie, wanted to deny it, wanted to do anything to make that look leave his eyes, but she was so tired. So tired of lying, so tired of running, so tired of being two people. Yes, the word hung in the air between them. Samuel closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. "How long?" "6 months." "Is he?" Maria shook her head. "It doesn't matter." "Matters to me." His voice cracked. "I need to know who I'm losing my wife to." "Name is Derek. He came to the church last year, about the van." Samuel nodded slowly, processing. "The van donation, I remember." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. I sent you to meet with him. I sent my wife to meet the man who would take her from me. You didn't send me anywhere, Samuel. I went on my own. I made choices, my choices. The word tore out of him. Why, Maria, what did I do? What didn't I give you? Maria felt tears streaming down her face. You gave me everything. You gave me too much. You gave me space and freedom and trust, and I took it and I used it to destroy us. That's not an answer. I know. She wiped her face. The answer is that I was lonely. Even with you right there beside me, I was lonely. You stopped seeing me, Samuel. You stopped really seeing me. And he looked at me like I mattered, like I was more than just the pastor's wife. And I was so hungry for that look that I threw everything away. Samuel stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned and walked into the sanctuary, closing the door behind him. Maria stood alone in the hallway, listening to the choir sing about grace that saves a wretch like her. She didn't go into the service. She couldn't. She sat in Samuel's office for 2 hours, staring at the wall, trying to figure out what came next. When the service ended, people filed out past the closed door. She could hear their voices, their laughter, their normal Sunday conversations. None of them knew, not yet. But they would. Pictures had been sent. Rumors would spread. The woman they'd called First Lady would become the woman they talked about in whispers. Around 1 p.m., the door opened. Samuel stood there. His eyes were red. His tie was loose. He looked 10 years older than he had this morning. Come on, he said. Let's go home. They drove in silence. Maria wanted to talk, to explain, to beg, but Samuel's face was closed. She didn't know if he was taking her home to forgive her or to pack her bags. When they walked into the house, Maria saw that someone had been there. A suitcase sat open on the living room floor. Her suitcase. Sister Ruth came out of the kitchen, drying her hands on a towel. She looked at Maria with sad eyes. I packed some things for you, baby. Clothes, toiletries, enough for a few days. Maria looked at Samuel. You're kicking me out. I'm giving us space. His voice was tired. I can't look at you right now without seeing him. I can't think. I need time. Where am I supposed to go? My sister's, I called her. She's expecting you. Maria nodded slowly. It was fair, more than fair, probably. He could have thrown her out with nothing. He could have stood in the pulpit and exposed her. He was giving her dignity she didn't deserve. She picked up the suitcase, walked to the door, stopped. I'm sorry, Samuel. I know that doesn't matter right now, but I'm sorry for all of it. He didn't answer, just stood in the middle of the living room, staring at nothing. Maria walked out. For 3 weeks, Maria stayed with Samuel's sister, Patricia. Patricia wasn't warm about it. She made it clear she was doing this for her brother, not for Maria, but she provided a room and didn't ask questions. Maria didn't leave the house. She couldn't face anyone. She knew the rumors were spreading. She knew her name was being dragged through every church kitchen, every prayer meeting, every phone tree in the congregation. She called Derek once, just once, to tell him it was over. He laughed. It's not over until I say it's over. I'm not your puppet, Derek. I'm not coming back. You think your husband knows everything. His voice was cold. You think he knows about the hotels, the club, the pictures I have. He knows enough. He doesn't know about the money. Maria froze. What money? The money you gave me, the offerings, the building fund cash you took from Samuel's office. Maria's blood ran cold. I never. Sure you did. $5,000 over 3 months. You handed it to me yourself. Said it was your tithe money, your personal savings. Remember. I gave you money from my personal account. Money I saved. Money that was mine. That's not how your husband will see it. Derek's voice was almost cheerful. All he'll see is that his wife stole from the church to support her lover. You're sick. I'm smart. There's a difference. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to come back to me. You're going to leave your husband and be with me. And if you don't, then what? You'll show him the money. I'll tell him the truth, that it was my money, my savings. Your savings that came from the church's offerings, from the building fund checks Samuel wrote to you for household expenses. How do you think that looks, Maria? The pastor's wife skimming off the top to pay for her affair. Maria's hand was shaking so hard she almost dropped the phone. You planned this from the beginning. I planned to have you. The rest just worked out. She hung up, sat on the floor of Patricia's guest room, and for the first time since this started, she prayed. Really prayed. Not the polite prayers she said at church dinners, not the memorized prayers she led at women's fellowship. A real prayer, ugly and desperate and honest. God, I messed up. I messed up so bad. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know if it can be fixed. But I'm here. I'm still here. Please don't leave me alone. The next Sunday, Maria went to church. Patricia tried to stop her, said it was too soon, too raw, too dangerous. But Maria was done hiding. If she was going to be destroyed, she wanted to face it head-on. She walked in right as the service was starting. The whispers started immediately. She felt eyes on her like physical weight. She found a seat in the back, in a pew that was usually empty. Samuel was in the pulpit. He saw her walk in. For a moment, their eyes met. Then he looked away and started his sermon. Maria, don't hear a word he said. She was too busy feeling the judgment radiating from every direction. Sister Bernice kept turning around to stare. Deacon Thomas shook his head slowly when he saw her. Even the young people, the teenagers, were whispering behind their hands. When the service ended, Maria stood to leave. But before she could make it to the door, Samuel's voice stopped her. Maria. The whole church went silent. Everyone turned to watch. Samuel walked down from the pulpit, down the aisle, until he stood in front of her. For a long moment, he just looked at her. Then he did something that made the entire congregation gasp. He got down on his knees. Samuel, what are you doing? Maria whispered. Get up. No, his voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. I've had 3 weeks to think, 3 weeks to be angry, 3 weeks to blame you for everything. He looked up at her. And I realized something. I drove you to this. Samuel, no. Let me finish. He took her hand. I married you and then I forgot you. I put the church first, the ministry first, everything first except you. I stopped seeing you. I stopped hearing you. I made you invisible in your own marriage. And when someone else saw you, when someone else heard you, you fell. Because I left you so empty that any attention felt like love. Tears were streaming down Maria's face. That doesn't excuse what I did. No, it doesn't. What you did was wrong, but I need to own my part. He squeezed her hand. I forgive you, Maria. It's going to take time. It's going to take work. It's going to take counseling and prayer and probably some fights. But I forgive you, and I'm asking you to forgive me. The silence in the church was absolute. No one moved. No one breathed. Maria looked at this man, this good man she'd betrayed, kneeling on the floor begging for her forgiveness. And she knew she didn't deserve it, but she also knew that was the point. Grace wasn't for people who deserved it. Grace was for people like her. I forgive you, she whispered. And I'm so sorry, Samuel, I'm so sorry. He stood up, pulled her into his arms, held her while she cried. And around them, something shifted in the congregation. People started crying too. People started praying. People started coming forward. Not to judge, but to surround them with love. It was messy. It was complicated. It wasn't a fairy tale ending where everything was suddenly fine. But it was a start. That was 3 years ago. Today, Maria sat in the same church, in the same pew, listening to her husband preach. But everything was different now. They'd done the work. Counseling every week for 2 years. Honest conversations that sometimes lasted all night. Rebuilding trust one small promise at a time. Samuel learned to see her again. Maria learned to find her worth in something other than attention. Derek had tried to follow through on his threat. He'd sent the bank records to the church board. But Samuel stood before them and told the truth. The money was Maria's personal savings, accumulated over years of careful budgeting. There was no theft. There was only a broken marriage and a man trying to destroy it. The board backed Samuel. Derek moved on to other victims. Maria heard he'd done the same thing to 2 other women since, but that wasn't her story anymore. After service, a young woman approached Maria. She looked nervous, scared. Maria recognized the look. She'd worn it herself. First Lady Carter, can I talk to you? Maria smiled. Of course, baby. What's on your mind? The woman glanced around, making sure no one was listening. I'm in a situation, a bad situation, and I don't know who to talk to, but I heard about what you went through, and I thought maybe. Maria took her hand. Come walk with me. They walked out of the church together, into the afternoon sun. Maria listened as the woman started talking, her words tumbling out in a rush. A marriage that had gone cold. A man who paid attention. Promises that felt like love. Maria didn't judge, didn't lecture, she just listened. And when the woman finished, she said the words she wished someone had said to her. You're not a bad person, you're a person who got lost. And you can find your way back. It's hard. It's really hard, but you're not alone. The woman started crying. Maria held her. Behind them, the choir started practicing. The sound floated out through the open windows, voices rising in harmony. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. Maria smiled. She knew that song by heart. She knew it better than most. Because she'd lived it.
Please subscribe for more interesting stories.